Greetings, fifth graders. We're ready for another week with fractions. This is day 2 of fractions. Let's get started. Yesterday, you were multiplying a whole number times a proper fraction using concrete objects. Well, today we will continue working with these types of problems, but we will be using pictorial representations. So you will need your practice set and a writing utensil. Our learning target says I can solve single-step practical problems involving multiplication of a whole number and a proper fraction using arrays and tape diagrams. Problem number 1. Ariel buys 1 dozen roses. Of these roses, 3/4 are red and the rest are white. How many red roses did she buy? Let's look at our problem solving mat and complete it with the information that we do know. The question that was asked, how many red roses did she buy? That question restated could be written, Ariel bought blank red roses. The information that we've gathered from our word problem, 1 dozen roses is the total number of roses that she purchased. 1 dozen is also equal to 12 roses. We also know that 3/4 of those roses are red. If we were to write a numeric expression, we would write 12 times 3/4. The asterisk that you see between the two numbers is another way to represent multiplication. Now, let's look at the drawings on the next couple of slides so that we can answer this question. We first have to create an array that shows 12 flowers, 12 roses, which is the total number that she purchased in the 1 dozen. Here we are, creating our array of 12 roses. That is how many Ariel bought, right? Now we have to figure out a certain portion of the roses were red. Well, they told us that 3/4 of the roses were red. So now let's divide our roses into fourths. Here are our roses divided into fourths. Now we're able to see how many roses are actually in each fourth. In 1/4, there are 3 roses. So 1/4 of the 12 roses is equal to 3. Let's look at 2/4. 2/4 of our roses is equal to 6. So 2/4 of our 12 roses equals 6. Hey, that's half of our total. Let's remember what our question is though. We're looking for the number of red roses if we know that there are 3/4. Here's our representation. 3/4 of our roses is equal to 9. 9 of the 12 roses are red. We can answer the question now, right? Yes, we can. If 3/4 of the 12 roses is 9, then Ariel bought 9 red roses. Problem number 2. In a class of 18 students, 5/6 are boys. How many boys are in the class? Let's start off with our problem solving mat. We know that the question that we have to find out is how many boys are in the class? Well, if we rewrite this question as a statement, we could write there are blank boys in the class. The information that we've been given from the problem tells us the total number of students, which is 18. And 5/6 of those students are boys. If we were to write a numeric equation, we would write 18 times 5/6. Let's look at our representation, pictorial representation. We know that there are 18 students in the class. So again, we're going to draw an array that shows 18 students. Here are our students, our cool emoji. Okay, so the other information that we were also provided stated that 5/6 of our class are boys. So we need to divide our 18 students into groups of 6. So let's make 6 groups. There we are. Now with this representation, we can easily determine how many students are in each group. So let's look at our first group. In our first group of 6, we see that there are 3 students. 3 students out of our 18 students of our class. So 1/6 of the 18 students, there are 3. All right, now let's look at our next group. Now we have 2/6. 2/6 of our 18 students. Well, it gives us 6 students. But we have to remember what we're looking for, right? We're looking for 5/6 of the students being boys. Now we have 3/6 of our 18 students. Well, hey, this looks like half of the class. Half of the class, that's 9. So half of the class so far gives us 9 students. 3/6 is also equivalent to 1/2, which is 9 students. Our next representation shows us 4 groups. 4 groups of our 18 students. 4/6 of our 18 students, which is equal to 12 students. We're almost there. Now we're looking at our 5 groups. 5/6. 5/6 of our 18 students. Okay, we're able to answer our question now. 5/6 of our 18 students. Well, that's 15 students. That means 15 students, right? Okay, so if 5/6 of our class are boys, or is boys, are boys, then there are 15 boys in our class. Wow, 5/6, 15 boys out of the 18. Problem number 3. Mr. Corsetta spends 2/3 of every year in Florida. How many months does he spend in Florida each year? Go into our problem solving that one last time. The question that we have to find out, how many months does he spend in Florida each year? And if we restate that question, we could write each year, Mr. Corsetta spends blank months in Florida. We know that 2/3 of every year is how much time he spends in Florida. And we also were told that 1 year was the total amount of time that we're looking at. Well, 1 year is equal to 12 months. You have to know that. So now we need to write the numeric expression. And the numeric expression would be written 2/3 times 12. We're ready to create our illustrations, but this time we're going to use a tape diagram. With our tape diagram, we still have to start off with a whole like we did in our other arrays. We start off with our whole. So this representation shows our whole, 1 year. Now we just recalled that 1 year is also equal to 12 months. So we're going to take our tape diagram and divide it so that we can show 12, which is equivalent to the number of months that are in a year. Here they are. So now our question and our problem stated that he visits Florida 2/3 out of the year. So what we have to do is we have to take our 12th And we have to divide it into thirds. So we have to think about what times 3 gives me 12. Oh, that's 4. 4 times 3 gives me 12. Okay? So that means that in each third, there should be 4 parts. So let's see how we can get this and draw this accurately. So 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Okay. And then in the last section, there are 4 parts as well. Our tape diagram now has been divided into thirds. Now let's label it each third. So we're showing each third is equivalent to our 1 whole. Remember our 1 whole, which is our 1 year, which is the amount of time that we're looking at for every year. And we also are looking at the number of months that are equal to 1 year. And the number of months that are equal to 1 year, we said was 12. That's how we started off with that tape diagram. So let's look at it even closer. So within the 1/3 portion, we're able to see 4 parts. Remember the 4 parts? The 4 parts are equivalent to a number of months. So 1/3 is also equivalent to 4/12. Or if we say it correctly, 4/12 in its simplest form is 1/3. Well, remember our question that we're trying to answer? Our question that we're trying to answer is telling us or told us 2/3 of the year is how much time he spent in Florida. So here we are. If we take 2/3, we see that 4/12 plus 4/12 gives us 8/12. That's equivalent to 2/3. Oh, we can answer the question again. So if 2/3 of the year is spent in Florida, then we know that 8 months out of the year, Mr. Corset spends in Florida. That wasn't too hard. All right, here we are. It's time for some practice set problems. What you're going to do is you're going to pause the video so that you are able to complete the remaining problems. Once you have completed the remaining problems, press play so that I can give you the answers. You got this. Use tape diagrams or the array model. Whichever is easiest for you is great. Now we're back. Problem number 4. So the problem says Mrs. Pham has 8 apples. She wants to give 3/4 of the apples to her students. How many apples will her students get? And the answer is 6. Her students will get 6 of the 8 apples. Question number 5. Rosie had 15 yards of fabric. She used 1/3 of it to make a quilt. How many yards of fabric did Rosie use for the quilt? Rosie uses 5 yards of fabric for the quilt. Problem number 6. There are 16 students in a class. Of the class, 3/8 of the students bring their own lunch. How many students bring their lunches? 6 students bring their lunches. And the last problem, number 7. I invited 6 friends to join my Zoom party. Before the party, I mailed a bag of cookies to them. Each person ate 1/3 bag of cookies during the party. This model represents 1 bag of cookies. Which model represents the total number of bags of cookies eaten during the party? The representation that shows the 2 bags of cookies represents how much was eaten during the party. Great job, 5th graders. Until we meet again, bye-bye.